Kane, Mark, thank you both for being here. Appreciate it very much. Kane, I'm coming to you first.
All right.
We have had some strong tourism numbers for years in Arkansas, but particularly this last year, it's been, once again, another solid year of performance. Where are these tourists coming from, and what are you doing to make them
I guess we're doing
contribute their spending to the state?
We are just marketing what we have, which is a great state. Yeah, the numbers are pretty phenomenal. The last 3 years, we've had record-breaking 2% tourism tax numbers, and as you know, the 2% tourism tax is largely a heads and beds, hotel, lodging, and attraction tax. So it's a really good way, a good barometer to see who's coming to Arkansas and spending the night. And we recently had over $16 million in tax revenue, which is about 30% above where it was 5 years ago. I mean, we're just kind of taking off. It's crazy, isn't it? It's taking off like that, and so we get that money and we reinvest it in marketing and promoting the state. And I think a lot of what we're seeing is that Arkansas has developed a lot of new rides over the last 15, 20 years. Everything from the Presidential Library to Crystal Bridges, to now we're seeing things like the Murphy Arts District in El Dorado, the Johnny Cash Boyhood Home, talking about heritage sites in Dice has become a real international attraction. And we're building our tourism infrastructure. More trails, mountain biking has become a big deal in Northwest Arkansas and cycling throughout the state. And we have tapped into a period of time where millennials and boomers want to go to a state for what I call soft adventure. They want to get out, they want to experience the local stuff, also ties into heritage tourism, see what's a little bit different out there. And Arkansas has a lot to offer, a variety of things to offer. So it's partly timing and partly the content we have here.
Yeah, and this tourism heritage that we're talking about, Mark, is something with your background in historic preservation and the oversight of what you do. You're seeing that, I would imagine, as, I mean, I don't know if it's booming, but it certainly is top of mind for a lot of these, particularly smaller communities that might not have a big manufacturing plant that's going to locate in their town, but can create some creative economy around that stuff.
Right. Yeah, we have the Main Street Arkansas program as part of the historic preservation program, and they work with primarily small towns around the state to revitalize their downtown areas, and that helps to bring tourists into the traditional commercial cores, and you know, formerly vacant buildings are suddenly thriving businesses. So it's that's a big
I was
deal.
just up in Springdale recently, and I think Springdale, granted Northwest Arkansas is booming all around, but that Springdale downtown location's got some really cool old buildings in it, and I think it's about to really blossom and take off. So
I think you're seeing that. That's a great example of what I just saw. We had our commission meeting in Batesville this week. Talk about a town that's using the old downtown and revitalizing itself. You know, restaurants, posh restaurants in old buildings. The Melba Theater has been totally redone. It's
a great success story there.
Yeah, and you can walk out of the restaurant and see life up and down the main roads of downtown Batesville. And then they've also managed to incorporate some new. You know, they built that $22 million aquatic and community center, which is just incredible.
Yeah.
So they've gotten on the tourism as economic development bandwagon. Wilson, Arkansas, near Dice is another example of a little town that's tapping into their heritage and turning it into a tourism attraction. You know, we got a new museum that's about to open.
So I'm giving you your chance right now, Mark. Is there enough money earmarked for this preservation and this heritage tour, this historic tourism that we need to do? I got a lot of legislators that watch this program. This is your chance to make the pitch.
Well, we use the funding that we do have in Heritage to work with folks around the state to try to develop places as heritage tourism destinations. We have grant programs specifically through historic preservation that we can work with, especially buildings that are owned by nonprofits, to preserve and develop them as heritage tourism destinations.
One of the reasons I wanted to have you here today, Mark, is I want to talk about World War I, and we're in the centennial celebration of that war, and just the Department of Heritage has put together a huge series of events over the course of this year and try to do as much as possible to kind of recognize that. It is a bit of a forgotten war now because there's nobody alive from that generation anymore.
Right.
Tell me, just in general, what you guys have been trying to do with that.
Okay.
Besides wear that tie. So you need to show the folks who's got his Uncle Sam
Sam.
tie right there. So.
Well, the governor created the Arkansas World War I Centennial Commemoration Committee 2 years ago, and our mission. I'm the Department of Heritage representative on the committee, and our mission is to commemorate. You can't really celebrate. It was such a horrible war. The centennial of the Great War. And we've had a number of events over the years. One of the big things we did was in partnership with the Arkansas Forestry Commission. We have placed a World War I memorial tree in each of Arkansas' 75 counties, which was a good deal. We have a seminar coming up at the Old State House on August 18, where we'll be talking about the legacy of the Great War. And our wrap-up thing that we're working on right now is that, of course, the war ended on November 11, Armistice Day. So on Sunday, November 11 this year, we're calling for people and organizations around the state to ring a bell 11 times at 11 o'clock on the 11th day of the 11th month.
That's cool. That's cool.
Which would be exactly 100 years after the armistice took
Man.
effect.
That's interesting.
That's great. Talk to me a little bit about war tourism. I mean, in the South, the Civil War
Civil
is
War is
obviously
obviously a big
in
part of it.
Mississippi.
We have
It's a big part of it. In Arkansas, it is too. Mississippi, I think, is maybe gotten a little bit ahead of the curve on us.
We have a state park that's basically a that had Civil War battlefields, and there's still a great deal of interest in that in this part of the country. It's interesting talking about World War I. Before we went on the air, I mentioned that among our state parks is a monument, a statue to a World War I veteran hero, and you knew more about it, of course, than I do.
Well,
Herman B. Davis.
Yeah, Herman Davis was the most decorated Arkansas soldier in World War I, and he didn't live too long after the war. He swallowed some gas, and it ended up killing him a few years later. And he was such a self-effacing guy that people wanted to see his Croix de Guerre and his other medals. He got his fishing tackle box out, and that's where he kept them. So, but it's a great monument to a brave Arkansas soldier.
One of our unique state parks. Talking about war history, just history in general has become, I think, a big drawing card for visitors. And this year we've launched as part of Travel South the U.S. Civil Rights Trail, and that's a big part of history of the South. And at a recent international conference, we had some people representing out there, and I think it was on the West Coast, and 11 countries were there. 8 said they had a keen interest in civil rights history in the United States. That would draw them here to the United States. Brand new program. Arkansas is represented clearly. We have some sites here. Central High is the iconic one. Daisy Bates House, John Deering's sculpture on the Capitol grounds, Little Rock 9. And I think we're going to see a lot of tourists who are going to make that trail throughout the South. You know, from here, Lorraine Motel, Selma, Pettus Bridge in Selma, that type of thing.
Yeah. All right. Last question for y'all, and it's for both of y'all. I'll come to you first, Kane, on this. It's all a lot of times tourism and heritage is about creating new things. You got to always have some new things to enter into the mix there, because once people experience some of them, they might not want to try anything else. What's big and new that we might see soon from your house?
I think what we're seeing, and this is exciting to me, is almost an arts corridor developed through Arkansas. If you think about what's going on in Northwest Arkansas with Crystal Bridges, the Amazeum, Walton Arts Center's recently been expanded. The Momentary is going to open soon.
Brightwater, you got to
Brightwater, oh yeah, they just opened another little section of Brightwater last night called the Holler. You go down to Fort Smith, you've got the Marshall's Museum that's on track for late next year, early 2020. The Unexpected Project, which is effectively an art museum outside in downtown on the walls of these old buildings. Art come to Little Rock, you got the Art Center is going to be renovated and expanded. Take it down to El Dorado, where the Murphy Arts District has just opened phase 1. They've got phase 2 to come. That's a $100 million project. That's exciting to me, that arts is going to start attracting people from other states to Arkansas. That's a new and shiny. that also that goes with our heritage tourism.
Yeah. Mark, what do you see kind of on the horizon there for new things that may be coming?
Well, one thing that's particularly noteworthy, I think, is something happening down in Prescott. Over the last couple of years, the folks at the depot and museum down there have acquired a total of 1,200 acres at 2 Civil War battlefields, Elkins Ferry and Prairie du Chien, both of which are National Historic Landmarks. But there's no kind of interpretation or anything there. Mm-hmm. But they've acquired this property and are going to start the process of developing them as heritage tourism destinations. And the Prairie du Chien in particular it's in spitting distance of Interstate 30. So if they're looking at pulling some of those 23,000 vehicles a day that go through there on 30. And that has the potential to be a real heritage tourism engine for that part of the state.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
It's right behind a truck stop there. So you
Yes,
can
it is.
pull right off and see it.
Well, you may have to mask that a little bit there. So they weren't back into the trucking
didn't have
so
them
much.
back then?
No, not back in the not back in that days. Mark, Kane, thank you both very
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate you for being here.
Arkansas Electric Cooperative Corporation provides electric energy across 2/3 of Arkansas. This is an exciting time in our energy history, with incredible progress being made in renewable energy and storage technologies. As our energy portfolio continues to diversify, we'll maintain an all-the-above strategy to provide reliable and affordable electricity. Ever since the first light bulbs were placed in our members' homes, the electric cooperatives have been the solutions provider for our members, and we want to continue that well into the future.
Each day, the promise of our nation begins again. Arkansas and America, moving forward. I help make that promise a reality. It's not for everyone, but people everywhere depend on us.
Oh, I love you too, sweetie.
Trucking delivers, or everything stops. And that's what drives me.